What corporate policy did you find a loophole in that saved you thousands? So I'm standing in line at the pharmacy picking up my medication when the pharmacist tells me my insurance claim was denied and I owe $847 for a month's supply. My heart sank. This wasn't just any medication. This was my lifeline. I'd been taking this autoimmune drug for 3 years. Same insurance company. Never had issues. The routine was second nature. Walk in, pay my $25 copay, and walk out with the small white bottle that kept my body from attacking itself. The pharmacist, who'd filled my prescriptions dozens of times, looked genuinely sympathetic. She explained that my company had switched insurance carriers, and the new plan didn't cover specialty medications without prior authorization. The medication I'd taken without incident for 36 months was suddenly considered experimental by bureaucrats who'd never met me. I stared at the payment terminal displaying $847.63 in bold red numbers. That was nearly my entire monthly rent. My hands started shaking. Is there anything else we can do? I asked, hoping for some magical solution. She shook her head apologetically. Without prior auth approval, this is the cash price. You could try calling your insurance company, but I've seen dozens of these denials since your company switched plans. I called HR from the parking lot. When Janet from Benefits picked up, I explained the situation, certain this was just an administrative error. Oh yes, we've gotten several calls about this, she said matter-of-factly. The new carrier has stricter guidelines. The denial is final. It's company policy, period. Janet, this medication keeps my autoimmune condition stable. Going without it could land me in the hospital. I understand your frustration, but my hands are tied. You could appeal, but I haven't seen any specialty drug appeals get approved. That night, I sat at my kitchen table feeling defeated. My girlfriend Sarah listened as I vented about corporate bureaucracy and insurance company greed. Have you actually read the entire benefits package they sent? She asked. I gave her a look that clearly said she was crazy. Sarah, those things are written by lawyers to benefit the company, not employees. Maybe, but there's gotta be something buried in there. These companies always leave themselves loopholes. Maybe there's one that works in your favor. I thought she was naive, but I was desperate. So I spent 3 hours reading through 89 pages of mind-numbing insurance policy text, armed with a highlighter and notepad. On page 67, buried in emergency override provisions, I found something that made me sit up straight. The policy stated that if a medication was medically necessary to prevent hospitalization and had been continuously prescribed for 24 or more consecutive months, employees could request a continuity of care exception covering full cost for up to 12 months. I'd been on this medication for 36 months. My rheumatologist had documented that stopping could trigger dangerous flares requiring emergency treatment. The next morning, I called customer service, armed with my policy document. After being transferred 4 times, I reached someone who understood. I need to request a continuity of care exception under section 12.7b, I said. Page 67 of my benefits documentation. Complete silence. I could hear typing. Sir, I need to escalate this to my supervisor. 20 minutes of hold music later, a supervisor came on. Mr. Johnson, I've reviewed your case and the policy section you referenced. You're absolutely correct. We're approving your continuity of care exception effective immediately. I nearly dropped the phone. They approved my prescription at 0 cost, backdated the coverage, and processed an $847 refund. Over the next 12 months, my medication would have cost $10,164. Insurance covered every penny. Plus, my doctor used that year to transition me to a generic version costing only $40 monthly. Let me break this down. I saved $10,164 in medication costs, got an $847 refund, and found a long-term solution saving me over $800 monthly. All because I read fine print the insurance company banked on nobody reading. My HR director was amazed. In 15 years managing benefits, I was the first person to discover and successfully use that clause. Now they tell new hires about it during orientation.